My mum lost her parents when she was young. She was the eldest of 3 siblings. She lost her mum, her dad, and her younger sister. So it was just her and her other younger sister in Nigeria. And she was 11 by this time in her life, where she had all of that loss, very young. And I think for her, there was the mode of flight or do nothing, right? Get out of this situation or appreciate that this is your situation. And my mum was like, no, this is not my situation. I want more from my life. I've gone through all that struggle, but I think going through the Biafra War, which she was at that point in her life, she probably saw that other people had more struggles. And she got to, her teenage years, 15, and the uncle that they were living with, my mum and my mum's sister, so my auntie, wasn't necessarily wasn't the most warm environment for her to be in. And really, he wanted to marry her off when she was young. And there's definitely this sense, I think, back then of women have one role, men have another role, and women may not be in the role of going to school, further in their education, having a career. But that's what my mum wanted. She didn't want the easy way out. That's considered the easy way out. And a lot of females, I think, back then were much more inclined to let the men do the heavy lifting, to do the legwork. My mum didn't want that. So she's in this scenario where she is trying to survive, quite frankly, and look after the only other immediate member of her family. So she is doing whatever she can. She is working in Lagos market, trying to, get some money, get some pocket money. She then also decides it's time to actually start talking to some other. It's time to start talking to some other members of her family who she thinks can help. So she had another uncle who had a lot of children, and he had more money, but his aim was to send his children to school. And of course, every child going to school then you pay for. Now, his children, unfortunately for him, particularly the girls, they didn't actually want to go to school. They were very happy to, get married young and be kind of taken care of. So after so much persistence from my mum saying, I really have this vision to leave this country and to do more with my life, to study, to work, basic things that we take for granted now. After so much of that persistence, and also my mum's uncle seeing that his own children actually were not necessarily actually uptaking the opportunity of going to school, he said, okay, I love your determination. You are driven. My mum's a hustler from day one. She's had to learn how to survive. So he was able to essentially help fund her leave the country. And at this point, my mum was actually already studying. She had a boyfriend at the time, and she was not only working in the market in Lagos, and Lagos was not near the south, which is where many Igbos are from, but she knew Lagos was the place to be because, everyone's heard of Lagos, I think, but because you'll get more traffic, more money, etc. So she went to Lagos market. She was working there, and she was her boyfriend at the time was paying for whatever he could pay for in terms of university. So with those two things, she was able to save money, right? She wasn't spending at university, but she was also getting money at this market. And then her uncle came and said, yes, okay, I will fund you to leave the country. So my mum was basically speaking to other friends who had left the country, and was speaking to a particular friend few friends who were in Paris. And she said, I want to be in Paris. And a year later, my mum was in Paris. And not only was she in Paris, but after she went to Paris, she was working as an au pair, going to university in Paris as well, to do, at this point, her second degree. And also she'd managed to fund for her sister to come over to Europe as well. So that's the story I know of my mum. Behind the person who, you know, may still have been learning her way through how to, you know, communicate in the UK, that behind my mum lives a story of determination, perseverance, entrepreneurialism as well, which is really interesting for me to see. Hunger, absolute hunger to have more, and ultimately ambition. And I think that has really helped to fuel me